Construction is now hiring. Call us at 850-740-3815 or visit cbcconstruction.com to learn more. CBC Construction. Be part of a winning team. Tired of flipping through channels and finding nothing good? Introducing Scorpion TV. Over 5,000 live streaming channels. Catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN Plus, the NFL Network, and Red Zone. Even pay-per-view events. Watch 400 local network channels from Panama City and most markets throughout the country. Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC. It's more than sports. Scorpion TV offers premium movie channels like HBO, Cinemax, Stars, 200-plus entertainment and news networks, or watch thousands of movies on demand, all for just $45 a month when you use the ESPN NW promo code at checkout. Watch on up to 5 devices at the same time. Perfect for sharing with family and friends. Scorpion TV gives you everything you want for less. Cut the cord, not the fun. To score Scorpion TV, go to ESPNPC.com and click on the Scorpion TV logo. Don't forget our promo code ESPN NW.
Hewitt Tire and Auto.
Call 850-769-7323.
Your certified AAA service center and hometown towing.
Visit them online at HewittTire.com.
On Airport Road in Panama City.
850-769-7323. Hewitt Tire and Auto Center and hometown towing.
Need a tow? Call Billy at Hometown Towing, 850-265-1562.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
And that's out of the ballpark.
ESPN, Northwest Florida.
Broadcasting from the CBC Construction Studios.
Are you ready?
Okay, let's begin.
Trip. The Afternoon Underdog Trip. Live and local. Inside the Talk House.
Unleash the dragon.
On the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Keep making noise. Keep making noise.
What's going on, Northwest Florida? You are now riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, and you're in the doghouse. And this doghouse is provided by CBC Construction. That's a well-built doghouse. Any pup would love to be here. CBCConstruction.com. Go there. They're looking for some good employees. You can also give them a call at 850-747-3815. We're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can like and share the Facebook feed and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also go download the app and register. Just go to go to your Google Play Store or your Apple Store. Type in 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. After you do that, smash the enter contest button. You could win a 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida t-shirt. And Ryan Mulvey on the Inside Drive today added an Inside Drive t-shirt and a Golf Plus t-shirt. So I guess we've just got a trifecta, as he put it, this afternoon. Coach Brian Haddad in the building with us, along with James Fife. I'm David Hayes, and we are the Afternoon Underdogs right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, where we are live and local. Coach Haddad, how you doing today? There we go. You did that about 10 minutes ago.
17.
It's
Number
been
17, baby.
Stuck in my head since. He's obviously referring to WrestleMania. And for our wrestling fans, if you'd like to call in at any point in time this afternoon and talk about your takeaways from WrestleMania, what was it, 41?
Yes.
WrestleMania 41. We will definitely entertain your calls and text on the Jed Lawyers phone line. Just call 850-215-6290. We've got Andrew Weiss coming up next. I know you guys have been getting used to Round the Track with RJ. RJ's got a career thing going on right now, so we'll see if we can get him back next week. But for this afternoon, there was no race over there at Talladega, or there was no race on Sunday. They had the Craftsman Truck Series and the Xfinity Series, but not the Cup Series. So we'll just kind of do our own preview for Talladega and then hopefully recap what went down in Alabama next Monday. But instead today, we're going to be talking NHL playoffs with Andrew Weiss. He'll be giving us a great preview, as he always does. I have about 10 questions for him, and I normally can only get about 3 in whenever we have Andrew on. Then at 4:40, we're going to try to give Kyle Wright a call. Either way, we're talking WrestleMania at 4:40. Then at 5 o'clock, we'll have Steve Barnes, senior writer for the RebelWalk.com. I have we always start off with his best and worst of the weekend. I have a good idea of what his best of the weekend is going to be, and I'm sure that it pertains to Ole Miss baseball. Then at 5:20, PCB Hobby Takeover. Then at 5:40, we'll wrap it up with our best and worst of the weekend, and you can text your best and worst of the weekend in right here to ESPN Northwest Florida on that Jed Lawyers phone line, 850-215-6290. James, how was your weekend? How you doing?
Had a good weekend this weekend. Nothing too exciting going on, so I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those times of the years, the time of the year where, there's not as much exciting things going on, unless you're a wrestling fan and WrestleMania is going on, the Super Bowl of wrestling. But I got to be honest, man, I was so busy all weekend long, I didn't watch one single sporting event, nothing, man. Like, I played golf Saturday, Sunday was Easter, and next thing you know, I'm waking up and it's like 7 o'clock this morning, so.
Missed a great Cubs game on Friday. That was fun.
Tell me about it.
13-11, man. Here's a good one. The 8th inning, 16 runs scored. Most runs scored in Wrigley history for one inning. 16 runs. Stadium's been around for 111 years, celebrated its birthday over the weekend.
It's so crazy. I talk about this all the time with Rick when he's on the show with us, but the fact that we've been playing baseball so long as an organized sport at the highest level of Major League Baseball, and records continue to get broken, especially in such a storied stadium like Wrigley Field, and I cannot wait to get there one of these days, hopefully before it ends up closing. I'll tell you what, if I ever get the word Wrigley's shutting down or Fenway shutting down, I'm headed up there instantaneously. Might even, if the Braves keep on struggling, which they finally got back on the right track, but if they keep struggling, the tickets to the All-Star game might get pretty daggum cheap.
Well, Truist Park turned 8 years old over the weekend, so isn't it about time for the Braves to start thinking about a new park?
Oh, my
It's
goodness.
really been that long.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's wild. 2017, right, is when it came out, because my regular Braves hat, just the regular home hat, it's got SunTrust Park, a SunTrust Park little patch deal on it, and that is from the first year.
Last Braves game I went to, Fulton County.
Fulton County. I've been to Fulton County.
I never went to Turner Field.
I went to one game at Turner, and then I've been to several games up there at Truist, one of the best parks to watch a game at. Well, it's not like I have a ton of experience, but I will say that every seat that I've sat in over there at Truist has been great. And we are the Atlanta Braves affiliate here in ESPN Northwest Florida. This is Braves country, and the Braves are going at it tonight against the Cardinals. Coverage will start after the Afternoon Underdogs at 6 o'clock for a 6:15 first pitch. But the Braves got a sweep over the weekend, and that was pretty daggum sweet. It's their first time, and I didn't know this until I read it, but it's their first time winning back-to-back games this year. When I saw that we swept, I was like, have we even won 2 games in a row this year? We haven't even really got to talk about a streak, and here we are, 3 games in a row against the Twins. Really none of them in doubt outside of maybe Saturday. Friday was at least a 2-run win, and then Saturday, I believe they won 4-3, and then last night 6-2, or yesterday afternoon 6-2. They're 8-13 right now, which is a lot better than still looking for your 3rd win.
Heck yeah.
8-13 is good for 5th in the National League East. We're not going to say last. We're just going to say 5th. The other 2 teams
Aren't they tied?
Yeah, and no, it's like a half game.
Yeah.
Because the Nationals are 9-13,
That's right,
and I believe the Marlins are right there with them. If they're not 9-13,
Yeah, the
they're
Marlins
9-12.
9-12. Yep.
But Alex Verdugo, we got him for that 1 year, $1.5 million deal. Came in and played the whole series. Saturday night, I believe it was. Had 4 hits. Didn't have 4 hits in a single game in his entire time with the New York Yankees. And then added another hit yesterday afternoon. But he's provided some sense of a spark there. And then also we got to talk a little bit about Jared Kelenic. But tonight, Cardinals got Eric Fetty on the mound. He's 1-2 with the ERA of 3.43. His whip is at 1.14. He's got 10 strikeouts on the year. Going up against Spencer Schwellenbach, who's 1-1. ERA is at 2.55. His whip is nice and low at 0.85, and he's got 22 strikeouts on the year. How's your Yankees been playing?
Not bad. Still sitting atop the AL East now. The Blue Jays have kind of, cooled off just a little bit. I think the Yankees are up 2 games in the East, 14-8. I think that's the 3rd best record in baseball now, behind the Mets and the Padres, I believe. But I'm just looking at this. What's amazing, you would never get this in a million years, is top 2 batting averages in baseball, both Yankees. Aaron Judge and Paul Goldschmidt. Judge at 390, Goldie at 361.
And there's someone else who's got a pretty decent batting average.
Yeah. Tatis at 358, Brendan Donovan's at 356.
There it is, because I picked him up. I picked him up in fantasy baseball. I've been kind of doing a little retooling, and so I was working on that
How about
this morning.
Max
actually.
Fried, the only player in the bigs with 4 wins now.
How about Max Fried with the almost no-hitter?
Something else, man.
Which he wouldn't have gotten it anyway, so it's really
there was a scoring error or something earlier.
There was. I believe it was in the 3rd or the 6th inning. There was they scored it originally an error, but during the inning, I believe during the half inning or at the end of the inning, the scorekeeper, the official scorekeeper, went back and said, "No, that's actually that's going to be a base hit." James, you've kept scores for like minor league teams and
Yes,
whatnot.
I have.
So I don't know if you saw the play or not, but what goes into that decision making?
So when it happens, right then and there, you just make the split decision on what you want to call, just to keep the game going, just to keep your scorecard up to date. And usually what will happen is either one, you'll get a call up from one of the benches, and a coach will be like, "No, I disagree with that. Review it, look at it again." So you have a chance to look at it, because minor league baseball now, is got cameras all over the place, just like a major league field, so you can actually go back and look at those things now. Or what they'll do is, if they really want to get grumpy with it, they'll call the head office at MILB and talk to the official scorekeepers that are on the other side that are taking my information and then just dumping it into their big lot of information. And, I'll get on a phone call with them and we'll both look at it and converse on what we think.
There you go. Well, I did not see this particular play. I just, we've heard, or I've heard about it, and I've got a soundbite in there. It's not really a big deal, because I don't think that you can. We're not going to play it, James, just because I don't think that there's really any sort of takeaway from it outside of the broadcasters were like, this is crazy. But he still gave up a hit to Jake Mangum, I believe, out of Mississippi State. All right, he's one of your guys, and he broke up the no-hitter in the 8th inning, regardless of the earlier error that was changed into a hit. AI Alex says, it's a great name, by the way. Every time I read it, I'm like, is this AI or is this, a real individual? He says, nothing like summer in Wrigley, but you got to hit the bleachers.
I've always heard that, like, everywhere else you'd think you want to have some primo seat, but no, I've always heard in Wrigley you need to be out in left field or right field, whatever, and they'll get the whole left field sucks, right field sucks chants going. You throw the home runs back. I've always heard that's what you got to do out there.
You want to be in the left field.
Yeah,
left field.
It's where they moved. They moved the bullpens out from playing for surface now, and under the left left wall is where the bullpen is now. So you want to sit on the left side. That's where all the beer snakes happen.
Hey,
there you go, man.
I'm looking at this real quick. The home runs, of course. Big dumper, Cal Raleigh and Tyler Soderstrom are top of the league with 9 home runs each. But at 8 home runs each, and this is, we maybe tie this in at 522 with good for the sports card hobby. How about Mike Trout and Fernando Tatis both playing well again?
Yeah.
2 really important guys who had, really obviously Trout for a decade, Tatis for a couple of years, really big, trading cards out there, and for different reasons. Trout through multiple injuries, and Tatis through whatever horse testosterone or whatever the heck it was.
Correct, that cost him half a season.
Right, but it's good to see those guys back. They're so talented and playing really well. And it's good for their sports cards, and it's good for baseball to have big names like that playing well early in the season.
Well, Ronald Acuna Jr. has kind of made a little bit of headlines. Obviously, he's still not back yet. It's probably going to be about another couple of weeks, so I would project early May, but he's had times where, really just one time that I can remember that he's been set down back in 2019 for not hustling, and that was the famous Brian Snitker quote of, it's not about the name on the back of the jersey, we're playing for the name on the front of the jersey. But we had a situation, I believe it was last night, Jared Kelenic hit a shot that to him he felt like was going to be out of the park, so he's hitting his little home run jog on it, and then has to hit the giddy-up button once he gets around first base and still gets thrown out there at second. And Brian Snitker comes out and says, I wasn't even watching the play, which is kind of wild to say as a manager. Not that I expect the manager to watch every single play or pitch that happens, but, if you hear the crack of the bat as a manager, you would think that his eyes are going to be on it. But nothing came of it. Again, he said he didn't see the play. And then Kelenic actually went to him and kind of apologized and said, hey, that's on me. And I think Kelenic has handled this situation absolutely perfectly, but I don't know if you've heard any about this.
Briefly, yeah.
But what's your thoughts?
Look, I never like airing dirty laundry in public. I never have, even if... Look, this is clearly something that bothered Acuna years ago, and he's holding on to it forever. And honestly, that's not a good look. If you're, a rookie in the league or something like that, and it happened to you 3 weeks earlier, and you fire back. Okay, I get that.
And when this happened to Acuna, though, he was still in his young phase.
Right.
And might have been a rookie in 2019.
No, I get it. So if he would have, if there had been a Kelenic, 3 weeks later and he would have responded, I would have understood more. The fact that he's been holding on to it this long and you're a little more of a veteran now actually probably speaks a little worse to Acuna. I don't think it's a big deal either way. They're professionals.
He deleted
sort it out.
That means anything for you.
But again, I don't like airing this stuff, publicly in anyway. And I don't think it was a very good look for Ronnie. But again, it's not anything, that big a deal. It's, sometimes you ready, fire, aim.
Yeah.
And, and what did Herm Edwards always say? Don't press send.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those. It's not a good look, but it's not a huge problem.
Yeah, I don't find it to be a big deal. I think obviously the right move there is for Acuna not to say anything on Twitter, and then they have this meeting in the clubhouse, keep these things behind closed doors. I think that if Snit was paying attention to that, what's the move there? You benched Ronald Acuna Jr., but you didn't bench Jared Kelenic. Now, the excuse, again, is because he didn't see it. But for me, I look at it differently. I think Ronald Acuna Jr., the potential that you have there. Brian Snitker knows the potential that you had, that Acuna possesses. And so you have to treat talented, really talented individuals on a totally different playing field than what you got to do, Jared Kelenic.
Here's what nobody ever wants to hear about coaching, but it's true. It's that you can't be an automaton and every situation exactly the same, because no situation is exactly the same. And everybody always goes into whataboutism and this, that, or the other. And look, dealing with Ronald Acuna Jr., his attitude, his age, his everything would have been different. Not worse, not better, different.
Right.
The situation, different. The fact that he saw it and didn't see it, different. He may have learned some things in the way he handled Acuna that told him to handle it differently this time. So there's so many variables. That's why I always hate the whataboutism, because it's not the same. Look, Kelenic is an older player than Acuna was at that time, too. The fact that Kelenic came right out and apologized to him. I'm guessing probably wasn't what Acuna did 4 years ago. So you handle each situation differently. And then as a coach, you evaluate yourself and how that worked out. He may have seen that the way I did it with Acuna may not have been the best thing overall for the team, so I'm going to adjust it. Ronald's clearly sore still about the way it happened, and all he's getting caught up in is, well, you did this to me, you have to do this to him. No. If you're really going to effectively coach, you do the best thing you can think of in the situation based on all of the available information that you have. Doesn't mean everybody's going to like it, but that's coaching, folks. That's just what it is.
And I agree 1,000% with that. James, any thoughts from you on this particular situation?
I mean, the whole drama thing is bad. You know, I'm not into it, so I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to it. Now, my bigger issue with this is Jared Kelenic not playing Charlie Hustle. Because you're looking at a guy right now that is batting below 200. You got a guy right now that doesn't have a stolen base that's been caught stealing every time he's tried to steal. So, I mean, if you want to keep a job in Major League Baseball, hustle. You want to keep a job anywhere, hustle, man. I got a home run, good. Run until you know that ball's over the fence. Because guess what? You didn't run, and that ball wasn't over the fence. Look where you are. Everybody's talking about you now for not a good reason.
Back in the dugout. I'm trying to find the status that kind of pushed Acuna over the edge. Not over the edge. He basically just said, if that was me, I would have been pulled out of the game. He didn't really make a huge deal. And what he said was facts. But if that happened in this day and age, after the injuries and everything, like in this point of Ronnie's career, I don't think that it happens. And
all it speaks to is Ronnie needs to get back on the field because he got too much time on his hands. I mean, I'm serious, and I don't even mean that bad against him. It just, he wants in the game. And right now he's getting in the Twitter game, you know? So, I mean, I get it. Look, I wouldn't have been upset if Snit would have sat him down. Kelenic.
No, I don't think
I wouldn't have minded either.
I think he probably should have.
But but again, you know your players. You know what he may have seen instantly. Kelenic came to me. I can tell by the way he came to me this mistake he's never going to make again. I saw in his eyes, like this may be the thing that snaps him out. You don't then overlay that. Because you can always go back to changing around the order and something like that. What he may have seen years ago with Acuna is, I need to snap some life into this guy so he sees how serious this was. That's what I mean about every situation being different.
And in 2019, though, Freddie Freeman was the leader of the clubhouse. Now, last year was Travis d'Arnaud, and I think everyone wants Ronnie to become that leader. But
that's the one plus I would see in Ronnie doing what I didn't like the way he did it, but I would see in him he's trying to step into that role.
Yeah.
He may have stepped in it a little bit the wrong way, but I'm at least encouraged that I do think he's trying to step into that leader role. What he's saying isn't bad. What he's saying is you need to freaking hustle.
Yeah.
I think he made it a little too much about him.
Right.
But I do like that he's trying to step into that role just a little bit. He just needs to do it a little more effectively. And he'll learn. Everybody learn. I mean, look, you're not going to do everything right all the time.
No,
so.
And I'm just ready for Ronnie to get back. Really just to see, I mean, after 2 ACL tears, how athletic is he? I mean, I know medicine is great and all these days, but still, I'm a little worried about it for some reason. Jack Patterson says a buildup of what is supposed to be a great main event was the worst match in my eyes. All the years of wrestling, I've been watching it, and that he's talking about the Cena and the Rhodes match. We got more on WrestleMania coming up at 4:40. Right State Chris says, Brian, I'm heading up to Auburn on Saturday to take in Mississippi State baseball. Tough year. Let's get a win.
It is. It definitely is. But I tell you what, if you're going to Auburn, you will. If you've never been to Plainsman Park, look, I will never say I like anything better than Duty Noble Field, and Alex Box down in Baton Rouge is cool. But Plainsman Park is a very unique ballpark, and it is a great place to watch a baseball game. You'll have a good time up there, but let's go Bulldogs.
And they've upgraded it as well, I believe. Yeah,
it's really cool. You have the parking deck that overlooks kind of left field. People are hanging out up there. It's got a unique wall where it's kind of got, the left field wall comes out a little bit and then there's a little drop off into center. So it has a really weird angle out there, but it's a beautiful place to watch a baseball game. That's for sure.
Well, there you have it. That's going to wrap it up for us here in our very first segment of this week. Coming up next, we're right in the midst of the NHL playoffs. Well, okay, we're at the beginnings of the NHL playoffs, so who better to talk to than Andrew Weiss? More on the NHL when we get back.
It's the PCB Hobby Takeover with Todd. Mondays at 5:20 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
That is a very high-end card and very rare.
Todd talks about coins, trading cards, collectibles, and the amazing stories behind them.
It was the first one that's ever come through my door.
Plus, we'll be taking your calls and questions at 850-215-6290. The PCB Hobby Takeover.
A platform for you to do your hobby.
Mondays at 5:20 on the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. The remainder of the day, partly sunny and a temperature of 79 with wind 8 to 12 miles per hour out of the south. A mixture of slight fog and some clouds tonight, a calm wind and quite warm near 68. A variety of slight fog and some clouds and 78 tomorrow. 79 and slight fog and some sun Wednesday. This is your Monday's weather sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
TK Vandy Roofing and General Contracting is a fifth-generation contracting company based right here out of Bay County. TK Vandy's expertise in commercial and residential roofing, as well as a design-build general contractor, set them aside as a versatile and fresh alternative to achieve your construction needs. Contact TK Vandy Roofing, 850-866-9908, or email support@tkvandy.com. They can't wait to help you.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Broadcasting from the CBC Construction Studios.
But to be the man, you gotta beat the man.
It's the Afternoon Underdogs on the Sports Talk Monster.
You're gonna be mine. Woo!
ESPN Northwest Florida.
You're back in the doghouse, riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes, along with Coach Brian Haddad and James Fife, and this is ESPN Northwest Florida, the home for the Coach James Hale Show. In the morning, we're on 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe, as well as Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Also, give us a call or text on the Jed Lawyers phone line. We're live from the CBC Construction Studios. We've got Andrew Weiss coming up next, and we are going to dive into some NHL playoffs. Andrew, my friend, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great. How you guys been?
Oh, man, just ready for some playoff hockey. It stinks when it starts and your team is the final team to get Game 1 underway. But the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to be playing the Florida Panthers. How do each of these teams, I know that this isn't the premier matchup for us, but we do have home ice advantage. It's a great rivalry. It's great for hockey. How do the Bolts match up with the Cats?
I mean, these are two teams that have represented the Eastern Conference in the last 5 years, right? So it's a lot of skill, a lot of talent, and a lot of guys who know how to win playoff hockey. So at the end of the day, it's going to be very much, probably in my mind, the most 50-50 matchup of any of the first-round series. And genuinely, the significant potential to have the winner of this series representing the conference again, just because of how good these two teams are and how well they've succeeded in the playoffs the last few years. So with that in mind, I mean, it's a battle of very minute things that can go one way or another. So, looking at the forward groups, I think the Lightning have a little bit more, of the higher ceiling. Guys like Nikita Kucherov, that's potentially one of, if not the best player in the world right now, and they have that ability to break the game wide open. Obviously, the Panthers have stars as well. I think the Lightning have a higher ceiling of forwards, but the Panthers have a much deeper group. I mean, right now in their skates, their practice right now, they're running 5 forward lines just because they have 3 extra forwards that they probably feel comfortable inserting into their lineup if they need to. Whereas the Lightning, they've been going with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen the last basically month and a half, maybe even 2 months at this point, partially because of injury, but partially because they just don't have the forward depth. And with Oliver Bjorkstrand injured, the big trade deadline acquisition, the Lightning forward group is just nowhere near as deep as Florida's. So if the Lightning can get significant contributions from their bottom 6 forwards, that's going to play a big difference. If the Panthers stars, I don't want to say punch above their weight because they are stars. Alexander Barkov's phenomenal. Sam Reinhart's been a great goal scorer for them. Matt Tkachuk, obviously, doing what he does. It's a lot of very good players over there. But if they can reach their ceiling, then they're going to have a little more success. So on the forward side, it's generally a toss-up, just the 2 strengths there. On the defensive side, it's almost the other way around. I feel like the Lightning have more depth this year defensively than the Panthers do. It's ironically been the other way around for the Panthers in almost every one of their series the last few years. They've been such a deep defensive group. But this year, I just don't think it's as deep as it's been in years past. That top 4 is still very strong. Guys like Gustav Forsling have been great. I don't really like the Seth Jones addition, the cost that it was. I think to me, it's similar to Matt Dumba for the Lightning last year in terms of a defenseman that can eat minutes, but has a little bit of warts to him that you kind of just you deal with. They both skate very well. They both can play 20 to 24 to 26 minutes a night if you really need them to, but you shouldn't want them to. That's kind of what that acquisition reminds me of, for those reasons only. And I just don't like that for the Panthers. So because it didn't work out well for the Lightning last year. So after all that, the goaltending's pretty even, but Vasilevsky's been better than Bobrovsky during the regular season this year. He looks back to his old Big Cat self. So all that breakdown aside, it's genuinely a 50-50 toss-up. It's going to be such a good series, and I can't see this being a 4 or 5 game series. This is 6-7 in my mind easily.
One of my favorite players that we brought back is obviously Yanni Gourde. You brought up the Bjorkstrand trade, and Yanni was a piece of that. What kind of a role do you see from Yanni Gourde here in the playoffs?
Well, they certainly foresee him being a flexible piece of their roster. At this point in his career, is he? I certainly don't see why not. He's still been very good since the trade. He's been much better than he was in Seattle. He was coming off an injury, so that's probably part of it. For this year's play with the Kraken. But he's a guy that right now is skating with Nikita Kucherov and Braden Point on their top line. He fills in that forechecking role, a little bit of speed, maybe not as much foot speed as he's had in years past, but still a speedy player, can forecheck well, smart player, goes in front of the net. He's always been a little snake bit.
Yeah.
He generates a lot of great chances. Doesn't always capitalize on them, but he does generate a lot of them. And if you're getting 10 great chances and only scoring 2 of them, that's better than getting 20 okay chances and only scoring 1, right? So just got to see what he can do in that position to thrive with a Kucherov and Point kind of line. That they're going to need that line to really carry some weight. The power play is obviously going to be a big thing for the Lightning, but when it comes to even strength, Hagel, Cirelli, they've been very good this year at even strength. My assumption is they're going to be with Gensel. So that line's got to be very good 5-5. But Gourde, he could play anywhere in your lineup. He could go top line all the way down to 4th line, penalty kill. Probably won't be on the power play on the top unit at least, maybe the second unit, but definitely a guy that can really play anywhere in your lineup. And for a team that needed some forward depth at the deadline and got 2 guys out of it and now are missing 1 with Bjorkstrand out, they're going to need him to play good, heavy, quality minutes.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line with our liaison to the NHL, Andrew Weiss. Andrew, which first-round matchup has the most upset potential in your opinion?
I really do have an interesting feeling about the Washington Capitals and Montreal Canadiens. And I don't say that because I'm buying the significant second-half hype from Montreal. Come playoffs, anything can happen. And it really can and should, as we've seen many years in a row. But to me, the Capitals have been so good this year across the board, and their underlying numbers have been good. It's been a complete and utter 180 from last year where they barely snuck into the playoffs and did little to no noise in the first round, and they're much better this year for it. They're much better defensively. They're a very good team. The only reason I say that is because Montreal right now knows they're playing with house money. And when you're a team with no expectation, it's a lot easier when you're down in a game or a series to still play your game, knowing you're the underdog, fully understanding and accepting that you're the underdog, than when you're the favorite and the pressure is on you because you know you're playing a team you should beat. So with that in mind, it's like, all right, well, what's going to happen if Montreal jumps on the Caps in game one, right? What happens if the pressure increases on Washington, right? They have a much deeper team than they did last year. But to me, the biggest thing comes down to goaltending. I really like Sam Montembeault. I think he's a very strong goalie. I don't think he's a Vezina goalie. I don't think he's Yaroslav Halak of 2010 when Montreal upset Washington the first round in another top team versus bottom team matchup, that time being a 1 versus 8 seed. But he's certainly someone that can play very well. And I say that just because on the other side with Washington, two goalies that I like, Logan Thompson's had a good year. Charlie Lindgren's had, a fine year as the number basically 1A, 1B kind of tandem. But Montreal knows it's Montembeault or nothing. I mean, they can throw in some other guys, sure. I can never say his name right, but Jacob Dobsch has been very good for them. I actually watched him play when he was in junior hockey in the same league I worked in, so I got to see him a little bit there. Good goalie, but it's going to be Montembeault, from what I understand, for that series, right? Versus Washington, Lindgren's been, was the guy last year. Thompson was the guy this year. But my old phrase is when you have, more than one goalie, you have no goalies, right? Yeah. The leash is shorter, and as a goalie, you feel that. Montembeault's got nothing to lose unless he gets absolutely shelled. 6-7 goals the first game, maybe in the second game. Then they're starting to think about something, but. If Thompson goes out and puts up a stinker in game one, are they jumping to Lindgren game 2 already? Right? So I never like when a team has that ability to switch around just because the goalies, the mental side of things is such a big factor come hockey, let alone come playoff hockey. So I very much wonder how deep this Washington team can go because of that. It's been the issue for Carolina for years. They play, hot potato with their goalies. The Islanders had that for a while. It's you don't really see, in my mind, a lot of success for teams that can't rely on one goalie to carry the burden.
Well, let's go through your first round predictions right here since we are kind of getting close to our next break, and the guys want to talk a little WrestleMania this afternoon. In the West, let's start over there with the Winnipeg Jets and the St. Louis Blues. The Jets have a 1-0 series lead right there. Who wins the series, and how many games does it go?
Give me the Jets in 5. Really deep team. They've struggled in the postseason in years past. Hallebuck has had some up and down moments, but I just think they're a much deeper team, especially defensively than in recent versions, and the Blues just can't match that up. So give me Jets in 5.
And to a huge rivalry, especially when I was growing up, the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche. The Avs are up 1-0 in this series right now. Who wins the series, and how many games will it take?
I just think Dallas is too hurt. They're missing some big key contributors without Jason Robertson and Miro Heiskanen, so I'm going to take the Avalanche in 6 games.
All right. Avs in 6 there for Andrew. Golden Knights lead the Minnesota Wild 1-0. I mean, what a heck of a start to their franchise that they've had. Who wins this series with a 1-0 series lead, the Knights or the Wild?
Yeah, I mean, Vegas is, again, I keep saying the word deep, but genuinely, teams that have depth in the playoffs more often than not go further than other teams. And the Wild I just never trust the Wild in the playoffs, to be honest. And sorry to all my Minnesota Wild friends that I have out there, but I don't trust them. So give me Vegas in 5 for this one.
All right, and then a series that has not started but will start tonight, the LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers. Who wins that series? How many games will it take?
The Kings getting home ice in the series is a very underrated aspect. They were the best team in the NHL on home ice this year. They are very good defensively. They don't give up anything, Darcy Kemper's been great for them in net in a weird win-win trade for them with the Capitals, swapping Pierre-Luc Dubois and his monster Albatross the contract for Kemper's, and it's worked out for both teams. So Oilers, they have Draisaitl, they have McDavid, but they're coming off some injuries, a little banged up. I think it's going to be a great series. 4th straight year these two teams have faced off, but this time I think it's the Kings. Give me LA in 7.
Ooh, all right. We always love a Game 7 around this way. In the East, as we're talking to Andrew Weiss right now, you're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. The Toronto Maple Leafs are leading the Ottawa Senators 1-0. Who do you have winning that series?
Ottawa's a scrappy team. Toronto is just too talented. It's so hard to pick a Maple Leafs team in the first round, but with Boston out of the picture this year, maybe their demons are slightly more vanquished. I have to worry about that. So I got Toronto in 6.
All right, yeah. I mean, 11 straight years to the postseason, and they've been quite dominant in the last 4 or 5 years, right, especially with Austin Matthews, but they cannot, I think they've only made it out of the first round one time in those 11 years. We'll go next to the Capitals and the Canadiens, who are going to get their series underway this evening. Who do you like in that one?
Well, I got to stick with my upset pick, right? Give me Montreal in 7. With Marty St. Louis Habs pulling off the shocker.
I always forget about him coaching over there, man. I loved when they made that move. Not necessarily that it was for Montreal, but, you know, Marty St. Louis, Vinny Lecavalier, Brad Richards, all those guys. Ruslan Fedotenko always will hold a special place in my heart. Then the Hurricanes and the Devils. Who do you like? Carolina got a 4-1 win against New Jersey. Looked pretty convincingly strong there. Hurricanes lead the series 1-0. Who do you like to win it?
I mean, half that Devils team right now is an AHL roster at this point. I mean, they're so banged up. They're so hurt. They're missing Jack Hughes. You know, Jacob Markstrom did everything he could. They still couldn't pick up a win. So I just think the Hurricanes are way too deep for this short-handed Devils team. Give me Carolina in 5.
All right. And then the final. We always save the best for last around here. The Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers getting their series underway tomorrow evening. Who wins? How many games will it take them?
I mean, like I said, this has got to be the closest thing to a 50-50 toss-up. It's the one that's kept me up at night. I'm a little biased, obviously, as a Tampa kid, but come on. I'm a Tampa kid. Give me Lightning in 7.
Lightning in 7 is going to be, it's going to live up to the hype then as a series. Andrew, man, thanks so much for making some time for us this afternoon. We're out of time today, but would love to keep having you on here as we venture our way through the NHL playoffs.
I'd be more than happy to. Always a pleasure to join you guys. Appreciate you having me.
Andrew Weiss, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to get to a break. When we get back, we might have Kyle Wright on the line. We're going to be talking some WrestleMania. I might even ask a trivia question. It doesn't have anything to do with WrestleMania, but it's just kind of one of those habits that we're trying to recreate. Do you have a WrestleMania trivia question?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then there you go. Who says woo? No, we'll be right back. We're going to be talking WrestleMania. And if you have any thoughts or anything you want to talk about with Coach Haddad, give us a call on the Jed Lawyers phone line, 850-215-6290.
It's here. A 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app version 2.0. Now featuring ultra high fidelity. You'll feel like you're in the game. Plus, more opportunities to win weekly prizes from local businesses when you click it to win it. Download the 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida app today at Google Play or the Apple Store.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. The remainder of the day, partly sunny and a temperature of 79 with wind 8 to 12 miles per hour out of the south. A mixture of slight fog and some clouds tonight, a calm wind and quite warm near 68. A variety of slight fog and some clouds and 78 tomorrow. 79 and slight fog and some sun Wednesday. This is your Monday's weather sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
CBC Construction is looking for a few good men. At CBC Construction, our greatest strength lies within our talented team. Join us and be a part of a dynamic company that values its people. We offer a tremendous opportunity to create a future for your family and the Florida Panhandle. CBC Construction is now hiring. Call us at 850-740-3815 or visit cbcconstruction.com to learn more. CBC Construction. Be part of a winning team.
Your biggest investment is your home. Protect it while also improving its appearance with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. We have sand, mulch, gravel, or lay down decorative stone, all available for pickup and delivery. Discover your dream landscape with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Imagine the moment you proudly pull up to your home that you've worked so hard for, enhanced by quality mulch, decorative stones, and more. Let's make it happen today. Request a quote online at earthworkspc.com or swing by the office at 2005 Industrial Drive. Love the land you live on.
Now, we're live and local inside the CBC Construction Studios. For the A.
Deep right center field, and is gone!
Your spot for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast. Listen live nights and weekends. This is Braves Country. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. ESPN Northwest Florida.
You're in the doghouse riding along with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Coach Brian Haddad and James Fife, and this is ESPN Northwest Florida 104.3 in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. We are live from the CBC Construction Studios. You can give them a call at 850-747-3815. If you're looking for a good job, you can go to cbcconstruction.com. We are taking your phone calls today at 850-215-6290 on the Jed Lawyers phone line. And on the Jed Lawyers phone line is Kyle Wright. Kyle, my friend, how are you doing this afternoon?
Ooh, I'm literally just now getting in my car. Sorry if you hear that. Just now getting in the car, backing out of the parking spot. So really good timing. I'm doing pretty good. Slow day at work, but a good one nonetheless.
So did your double just turn into a single?
It did. So that's why I was able to make this work.
Hey, there you go. And then you get to get home and catch the Raw after WrestleMania, which is that a big deal? Like the Raw after WrestleMania?
Yeah, I mean, it used to be a bigger deal when WrestleMania was one night because all the people who would come in from, out of the country would make sure and stay, and they kind of made Raw after WrestleMania theirs. I think since it's gone to 2 nights, a lot of them go back. It's not as momentous of an event, but it's still where they set up what's going on for the next few months.
There you go. Well, Kyle, do you want to just start with takeaways, or do you want to answer some of the questions that I put together for you and Brian?
Oh, man. So what kind of takeaways are you looking for? I guess, if we get into the questions, I imagine that they'll come up organically because you're an absolutely brilliant host, so we'll get there.
I mean, I get my brilliance from you, my friend.
God.
Kyle Wright.
You
Leave it
get
at
a room.
I mean, sometimes we have to whenever we're on the road together, But no, Kyle Wright, obviously the color play-by-play, or the color commentator for Mosley Dolphin football, and then also you can hear him on his Know It All podcast or Leave It at the Table, which you were there in between 2 Jolly Green Giants there Wednesday evening.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We had a great time on Wednesday. Talked a lot about WrestleMania. Got a few picks right, got a few picks wildly wrong, but that's kind of the fun of watching the show, is to be surprised, sometimes for the better, sometimes maybe you're kind of wondering what they're doing, but that's the joy of the whole thing. So we had a great time. Also talked some coaching, which was a great time too. I hadn't done that in a while, so it was a great show.
Speaking of good hosts, Kyle Wright is phenomenal. What was the match of the weekend? We'll go Kyle and then Brian. We'll flip-flop however we got to. But what was the match of the weekend, Kyle?
Truthfully, man, I think it was the women's triple threat last night. Io Sky, Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair. Man, what a just absolute show, a banger to open the night. It was hard to follow it, but everybody did a really good job. I mean, honestly, that stole the whole show, period. Like, not just last night, but one of the best matches I've seen in WrestleMania in recent memory, and honestly, without a doubt, the best women's match of all time, in my opinion at least.
Yeah, I mean, look, in a WrestleMania that right now is being, torn apart for, one or two stinkers that are always on there. There were some tremendous matches on this card. I think Kyle's pick is good. I was 50-50 on either triple threat, so I guess just to be different, I'll take the men's triple threat to close Saturday. I thought they did just a wonderful job. Telling a lot of different stories at once. Obviously, the drama with Paul Heyman at the end, where I think I had called that he turned on Punk, but boy, I didn't see the double turn. Yeah. So it was just beautifully executed. And honestly, Kyle, I'm sure we'll get into this more, but, Saturday kind of started a little slow and finished real strong. Sunday, you're right, the girls knocked it out of the park to start it, and it kind of tapered off. It was kind of like a mirror image of the two nights.
Yeah, it really died at the end of Sunday, which was crazy because it started dying right there at the Logan Paul
That's right.
AJ Styles, which was much slower paced than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I agree.
Is that just because AJ Styles is getting old? Because, I've never seen Logan Paul.
I've heard a theory on this, and Kyle, I'm kind of curious what you think, that because of the change with Randy and Kevin, I think initially they had Randy and Kevin having a lot more match time. And when they changed this, and what they did with Joe Hendry was right. That needed to be short, and it was perfect the way they did it. But I think they added a lot of match time to Logan and AJ, and I'm not sure that they ever got comfortable with what they were doing there. And that could have been it, because these are two guys who should have put on, a pretty solid, entertaining match. And you're right, it was just kind of flat. So.
Yeah, sometimes, man, you just don't have chemistry with the guy across from you. It doesn't matter how good the two guys are. I mean, we've seen it in AEW a few times. Not to kind of bash them, but, they've got the most talent in the world. But when you don't have chemistry, it just doesn't matter.
Yep.
What match totally under-delivered? Brian, we'll start with you.
Wow. I mean, the easy answer would be the main event. I'm waiting to see what's going to go on long term from that. I'll say that the New Day War Raiders, I thought really under-delivered. I didn't like the story they told. I didn't like the finish. I thought, the Jay Gunther match was an okay match to start. Actually, the match was all right. The finish was a little bit odd, and I thought it was kind of a lull. I thought the New Day War Raiders match needed to be better, and it just really didn't do anything for me at all. And I think a lot of people got worried. We might be in for a rough night after this. So I'll take that one, although there were a couple others it could have been as well.
Kyle?
Yeah, I guess I'll just circle right back to that the Logan Paul AJ Styles match. I guess I had these crazy expectations going in, and rightfully so. We talked about it Wednesday night. These are AJ Styles, depending on who you ask, is that worth the top 3 to 5 wrestler of all time across every promotion? And Logan Paul, just one of the best in the business right now. Can't believe I'm saying that out loud, but the guy is extremely talented. So you look at it on paper, and you're like,
Well, while we're, it could just be a bad spot that he's at, but we do have some Atlanta Braves breaking news. You're back.
I'm so sorry. I'm driving down 38, so it might be spotty for the first couple minutes of this, depending on how long we stay.
Triple H heard you complaining, and he messed with your cell service. That's what happened.
There you go. If you guys could rebook one match from WrestleMania 41, what would you change? Kyle, with you.
Rebook as in, I'm sorry, maybe I just don't understand.
Like if you could basically make your own match at WrestleMania.
Oh, okay. So
but it had to be, the storylines had to have been pertinent.
Yeah. Man, I feel like I just would have done a little bit more with Randy Orton. Now I understand they kind of got had to be somebody that would get a big pop and somebody that he can beat without damaging himself or them. I just feel like they had 3 weeks. They could have built something.
Yeah, and that's fair. You know, it was hard because anybody they bring in that's a monster surprise, you're going to want to put over, but you needed Randy to go over there. So, yeah, they were kind of pigeonholed. I'll say this. I would not change the match. I would rebook the finish in Jay and Gunther to a pin.
Oh, God.
I would not submit Gunther, and certainly not a fast tap. I really hated that finish. I liked the match up to that point, but the finish really left a bad taste in my mouth. That is a simple fix that I think would have gone a long way, and I think would have helped Jay going forward, honestly.
I agree with you, man. I think I texted you guys, and obviously I was big on the J train, and I still am big on the J train. I thought he should have won. I'm glad he did win. But I think that WWE makes this mistake sometimes of when you want to make somebody look strong, that doesn't mean you have to make the other person look weak.
Yep, 100%.
And Gunther tapping to his own finisher in 3 seconds is insane to me.
Yeah, I agree.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We got Kyle Wright on the line with us. We're talking a little WrestleMania 41. What storyline should continue post-Mania, and which one should be done for good?
Ooh, wow. Done for good, I don't think is the right word, but done for now, Cena Cody. I do believe that they need to make Cody a chaser again for a little while, and I think there are plenty of other feuds that we can book for Cena for the foreseeable future here. What feud would I like to see continue? CM Punk and Seth Rollins. I know it's kind of been played on quite a bit, but now you've got a whole new element to that story with Paul Heyman leaving with Seth. So I'd like to see that one continue.
I'll say drop for now Charlotte Tiffany. I thought they got through well.
Are they wearing the same wrestling outfit?
Yeah, there's just... I think they're past the personal. I really do.
Yeah.
But it's still awkward. I would move on. Both of them need to go different directions. They told a good story, put a good match together after some awkwardness. So I would dump that one, and I think they will. The one that needs to continue, and I'm 100% sure will, Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio. Dom stealing the win. It was exactly backwards from the way I thought it was going to happen, but it definitely needs to continue going forward. I see that being a big match at Backlash in 3 weeks.
There you go. If you could bring back any past superstar for one more Mania match next year, who's it going to be?
Who do you want to start with here? Because there's really there's only one right answer.
Well, I mean, are we talking about someone in their prime, or are we talking about somebody the way they are now? That's hard.
Well, I mean, being that there's only one answer, I think Kyle's got an idea.
Go ahead, Kyle. I'm curious.
If we go through all of this, when I say all of this, I mean just the stories we've built over the last two WrestleManias, and just with the whole bloodline thing, and this doesn't somehow end with Roman versus Rock next year in New Orleans, I will say that this would be the biggest missed opportunity that they've ever had, because Cody said it, Rock said it, Seth said it. The Rock has so much left in the tank, and he's got tanks on top of tanks.
Yeah.
If he's going to have another match, I don't need it to be with Cody. I need it to be with Roman.
Just to be different, and I know he's kind of done and he's in another company. I'd love to see one more big, because I do think he's still capable. I'd love to see one more big Daniel Bryan match. I think that could be pretty cool. I don't know who against, but just to be different, because The Rock is the best answer. But I'd say a Daniel Bryan match. That'd be neat.
All right. Which moment had you guys jumping off the couch?
Paul Heyman. I kind of sensed the Punk part coming. So that one I was like, there we go. And then when he was, as soon as he pointed at Seth and said, look, the Shield, I went, oh, God, he's going to get both of them. And then the way he did it when he took that slow drop and he low blows Roman, I literally did jump off the couch and by myself and just laughing. I thought it was executed beautifully.
When Braun Breaker was standing on that announce table, and ran over and speared Carlito through the other one, that one got me up off my feet. And, of course, the finish of that match, too, with Dom getting up on the top rope while Finn was going for the pin. I'm just really happy to see Dom win, and I think a lot of people are.
Let me throw in a 1B, and this is the match I think stopped some of the bleeding. It didn't turn it around, but it stopped the bleeding. Jade catching Naomi out of the air at the most awkward angle, and Naomi's not an 80-pound girl, was unbelievably impressive. And then flipping her around in the air for a power bomb, those were two moments where I was like, geez, this girl is put together.
Yeah, honestly, Jade and Naomi deserve more flowers. But and as a matter of fact, if we're talking about show-stealing matches, I mean, that one's got to get some love.
It was, again, I thought it stopped the bleeding. For me, the match that turned everything around Saturday was Fatu and LA Knight. That one was solid. That was a really solid match. And El Grande Americano's entrance was a thing of legend. I loved it. Loved it.
I tell you, that's the guy who really stands out to me, though, is Jacob Fatu. Anytime I'm like, this guy is going to be a big star, down the road a little bit. Kyle, we are out of time. Thanks so much for giving us some of your time and recapping WrestleMania 41 with us.
Absolutely, boys. Always a pleasure. 4 letters, 1 word, yeet.
Yeah. All right, that's Kyle Wright, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure that you listen to the Nola Doll podcast as they'll ramp up. They drop pods intermittently throughout the off season, but it will ramp up as the season gets closer. And I mean, if you can do a podcast consistently through a 2-10 season, I know for sure. And I'm not even throwing shade.
That takes work. No,
right,
really,
right.
Seriously,
it does.
Work.
I mean, because at the end of the day, when you're a fan of that team, your heart is going up and down with that team, and there wasn't many times for it to go up last year. But the Leave It at the Table is Wednesdays. You can catch it wherever you get your podcasts, or just listen along with them on Facebook. Hour number 2's coming up next. We're going to start it off with Steve Barnes, senior writer for TheRebelWalk.com.
ESPN Northwest Florida, available on all your devices.
Connected.
Hear your favorite sports talk hosts.
On the Coach James Hale Show. You're listening to Inside Drive live.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
And your favorite teams.
Braves winning!
We're live on the app. Tune in, Alexa, ESPNPC.com, Facebook, YouTube, and in your car at 101.9 and 104.3. Wherever you go, there we are. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. For tonight, a mixture of slight fog and some clouds and a low of 69 with wind 2 to 5 miles per hour. Mostly clouds and slight fog tomorrow morning, very light wind and hot near 76. Partly sunny and 78 in the afternoon and evening. 78 and a mixture of slight fog and some sun with very little wind Wednesday. This is your Monday's weather brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
When you bring your vehicle to Panama City Toyota for repairs or maintenance, you'll get the warmest welcome around.
That's because we see service differently.
It's not only an expert team that can help with everything, from simple adjustments to a new set of tires. It's also a team that values your time, so we make your experience as quick and comfortable as possible. Because we're committed to service that goes beyond. Only at Panama City Toyota.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
And that's out of the ballpark.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Whether you're an experienced investor or first-time buyer, Beach House will provide you with top-notch service to guide you through every step of the process. We make the real estate process fun and easy through effective marketing, strategic advertising, and always a client-focused experience. From single-family homes to full-scale developments, Beach House Sales Development has you covered. Check them out at beachhousesalesfl.com or give them a call at 850-919-3500.
You found us inside the CBC Construction Studios.
Hi, this is Orlando Magic guard Jalen Suggs. Listen for select Orlando Magic games right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to my boy David Hayes and the Afternoon Underdogs.
Thank you, Jalen Suggs. Hopefully he's on the mends. I think he's still injured as the Magic took a whooping by the Boston Celtics, but nowhere near as bad as the whooping that the Memphis Grizzlies got.
Oh, God.
Oof. That is that is tough, but we'll see what happens as we move along here in the NBA playoffs. I know my Indiana Pacers got a very convincing win against the Bucks.
Only good thing for Memphis is that still only counts as one loss.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes a team's confidence can get a little overinflated at that point in time. But I don't know when it comes to those Oklahoma City Thunder. They look to be in a good position. I think there's really only one team out there that I think you can make the argument for is seeded, and they're not. This isn't a vote, right? They play for these seeds, but the Golden State Warriors look to be a little bit better than a 7 seed.
Well, it's a good matchup. They're a veteran team. Yeah. The Rockets are a good team, but they're very young. Not a lot of playoff experience.
Thunder 3 years ago.
That's right. So that one doesn't surprise me that much, but it's interesting for sure.
Well, we did get some breaking news before we get on to the phone line with the senior writer for theRebelWalk.com, Steve Barnes, and talk all things SEC football and baseball. Spencer Strider, who has made one start since getting off of the injured list, is back on the injured list with a tight ham. Don't be clapping back there.
What in the world?
I'm about to throw a pebble through that glass. Why are you clapping?
Just how much can the guy be out, man? I mean, it's one of those. It's every time I turn around, he is just.
Well, he never came back from the first injury.
No, he didn't. Yeah, I think he got pushed back in too quick. I really do.
And maybe so. I mean, it's one of the beautiful things is we're talking about Tommy John was his original, right, with the UCL, and this is a tight hamstring. So it's different areas of the body, and when you haven't pitched in a long time, and then you get up to 100 pitches, tight hamstrings could play a role there. But
maybe you should do a little more leg work.
I mean, have you seen those?
Yes, that's what that was.
Okay, I was about to say, they call him the quad father. But let's get over to Steve Barnes. As always, on Mondays, we do our best and worst of the weekend. We'll take your best and worst of the weekend on the Jed Lawyer phone line, 850-215-6290. Steve, my man, what's going on?
Hey, guys, what's up with you?
Oh, man, we just got done talking a little wrestling. We talked some NHL prior to that. We've kind of been all over the sporting map. Give me your best and worst of the weekend. I think I know what your best is going to be, and we didn't have a trivia question for you to try to answer this afternoon, but let's hear your best.
I'll guarantee you don't have this one.
Okay.
Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart.
I don't have that, no.
Decides to not go to Green Bay for the draft.
Yeah.
That's a great move because that kid could fall like crazy, and I don't want him to be Brady Quinn sitting in that green room with all those cameras on him. And if he fell to the second round, not only does he have to have a camera on him all the first round, he's got to come back the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's a great move. Just, stay with your mom and dad and your brother. Yeah, let's do that. I think that's a lot better.
What do you think about Jalen Milroe attending the draft? I mean, I'm not.
Same thing could happen to him.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will. I don't see him being a quarterback in the first round unless somebody just really. I mean, did we not watch the same games this last year?
Well, I mean, look, it's got to be the coolest thing in the world to walk across that stage, and but golly, the way they keep constantly putting the cameras on you, and now it's become kind of its own trope, and they're going to do it, and I just hate that for it. My favorite draft moment ever with a player was Joe Thomas when he got drafted. You never saw a picture of him.
Boat.
Yeah, he went fishing. He said, I was doing what was important. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
Well, Steve, I guess we'll transition into your worst. Did you have two best, maybe by chance?
No, just had the other one. What was yours?
Well,
you had for me?
There was a Ole Miss baseball player who hit I believe it was a grand slam, and his mom caught the ball.
How about that?
That is pretty cool. Actually, James, we have a clip, James, if you want to run that for us real quick.
Here we go.
Was the judge here tomorrow?
For DP, but instead it's going to be a grand salami. Tape measure shot by the second home run of the weekend.
I did not listen to this.
She's loud, too.
Sure that,
that was the catcher. That was the catcher.
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts with the M. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
That's
So
awesome.
I figured that was going to be your best, but I like your best, though, Jackson Dart, kind of staying away from just anything that could create a negative going into one of the most important times in your life. What's your worst?
Now, I have a sentimental worst and an actual worst.
Okay.
The sentimental one, Ole Miss tight end, Hudson Wolf, medically retired this weekend. This kid, he's out of a small town in Tennessee. He had committed to Ole Miss going into his senior year, got hurt, and had to have spinal surgery after his senior season. Ole Miss honored the scholarship and brought him, and the kid tried it for 3 years. He went out there. He got in a few games, but he went out to practice, and he tried it, and finally he said, Coach, can't do it. I just can't go. I just can't go.
I mean, how about the mental? How about the mental fortitude and really just the dropping of the ego and the pride to actually be able to do that when you're that age, all you want to do is play.
Now, the bright side of this, either the kid has already graduated or Ole Miss is going to keep him on scholarship until he graduates.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
That's the bright side.
Yeah.
Now, is that a head coaching decision? How does that play out? Is
AD,
that,
right?
Oh, I think that's probably Keith Carter, the AD, and Kiffin, because Carter's got to tell Kiffin, okay, if you keep him on scholarship, that's one you can't give.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
So
you can just give him money and then you get him anyways, right?
I just think they just said, yeah, it's worth it to keep this kid because he's just a good kid. I mean, he's a guy you want in the locker room.
Yeah. I mean, that
So even if he's not playing, I'm sure he'll be at practice. I'm sure they'll let him put on his 87 jersey and go to the sidelines. So that's a good part of that story. Now, my actual worst, what's Colorado thinking? Why are you retiring Shedeur Sanders' jersey?
Oh, yes. And so we talked about this last week, Steve, and I agree wholeheartely with you. If Shedeur's last name wasn't Sanders, this isn't happening. He was, 13 and 12. That was his record as a quarterback. I get Travis Hunter. Okay, fine. You got you a Heisman winner. That's cool. But you can't tell me that Shedeur Sanders needs to have his number retired ahead of Cordell Stewart.
Now, the thing about Hunter, he probably deserves it. He won a Heisman. Rashawn Salam won a Heisman, and he had to wait 24 years.
That's
right.
To
And
get his
2,000
number retired.
yards.
Travis Hunter didn't wait 24 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's what happens when you have a coach who wants to pump his what do you call it?
Look, they were
administration up.
They were important to the University of Colorado. Look,
Absolutely.
obviously, they're but Chad Brown said it best, who was a defensive end, I believe, back in the 90s. And he said it best. He's like, look, I'm not taking anything away from those guys. You want to put them in, that's fine. But to do that and not put in guys who won a national championship, the Salinesi, who started it and died, then the Darian Hagan taking over, the Eric Bieniemy, who a lot of people forget was the running back on that team, Cordell Stewart, Westbrook, Chad Brown himself. I mean, there was some real talent that came out of there. And like I said, took them they should have won it in 89 when they lost to Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl. They won it the following year. They tied, I think, with Georgia Tech. Those guys should have been definitely in there before. Certainly Sanders, and I'll be honest with you, even Hunter.
I think that's absolutely fair. I'm just saying I can make sense of the Travis Hunter.
Yeah, sure.
I can't make
It's
any
easier,
sense of the
certainly.
Shedeur Sanders outside of your dad was Deion Sanders, and he was a head coach. And here's the other thing, though. As an Alabama fan, Alabama, they don't retire jersey numbers. They just kind of resurrect the importance of what those numbers mean. And I think that's how college football should be when we've got guys on the same team wearing the same number because, offensively and defensively. So, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of
Steve, I don't know how you feel about this. This would be where you and I get into the if you agree with me, into the get off our lawn thing. I still would like the days where the names weren't on the back of the jerseys. I thought it was all about the team.
Yeah, I like the phrase "play for the name on the front of your jersey, not the back."
Yeah.
But I kind of like what Florida State does. They retire the jersey that the guy wore. but not the number.
Yeah.
So the jersey's retired. That one's never going to be worn again because they will recycle those. But I think the only two numbers that aren't worn at Florida State, 34 for Ron Sellers and 25 for Fred Biletnikoff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And
those are...
Biletnikoff, here's a great little trivia bit for him. When he was at Florida State, who was his wide receiver coach?
Oh, God.
Bobby Bowden.
that was going to be my first guess, but I did not know that it was going to be a shot in the dark.
Guys, roll tape on this because you may never hear it again. I think Ole Miss does this better than anybody else. They take the most important number in Ole Miss football, which is not 18, by the way, Chucky Mullen's number, and they award it to the most deserving person every year. I think that's what you should do with these great numbers, is you go out and you make it something that means something to the players who are currently playing.
And I like the name of that.
Yeah.
I like the name of it. It's the Chucky Mullins Courage Award.
That's right. That's right.
So I like that.
Well, Steve, last week we were talking about Nico and why was he leaving, how much money was he going to get, all of that stuff. Now I haven't found a concrete number. I think we're looking at somewhere in between $1 and $1.5 million, but I don't know that.
1.4 I've seen more than
UCLA
anything.
also is not in the greatest of football financial stances right now because of, moving from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten, and they're just not making the same amount of money. But what do you make, Steve, of Nico choosing the Bruins?
Well, the first thing is, wouldn't you think that UCLA had more money than that?
Yeah, you would think. You would think so.
You would think of all this, Mark Harmon played there.
They give it all to USC, though.
Well, I don't think Mark Harmon gave it to him, but you look at Ole Miss. Archie Manning just gave like $50 million. Matt Luke, who got fired as the coach,
right?
He just gave him like $18 million. And Terrence Metcalf just gave a few million, who's DK's dad.
Yeah.
You can't find anybody at UCLA would do that. That's weird. But
and he'd call Troy Aikman.
Yeah, I just don't think there's any winner on the left coast in this one. I think Nico's not going to have a great year because he just doesn't have the talent that he would have at Tennessee, and UCLA is not going to get their money's worth with that. Plus, I mean, if UCLA is that broke and they gave that much to that kid, they don't have enough to give to anybody else.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And now you've brought in Aguilar, who is bonded with the team. You've got your quarterback room set. Now Aguilar's going.
The portal today.
That's got to just, I mean...
And I think Aguilar's going to Tennessee.
Yeah, it's a mess.
It's going to be a straight-up trade.
So it's trading. It's oh my gosh, yeah. We need to have we need to tighten down this off season. But then the other thing that I think about is when we're in these spring practices and these spring games and everything, should these players have the opportunity to leave if you're Aguilar and you couldn't do that, but Nico comes in, which obviously Nico wouldn't come in if but I just it's tough for me because I don't like all of the movement that we're getting. But I want it to kind of be fair for the player the same way that it is as the university.
Opens the day after the national championship game, stays open for 30 days.
30 days.
That's it.
But, okay, here's the other issue that we run into, and I'm not 100% sure on this. Steve, you can correct me. But when it comes to the portal, that's all sports at the same time, right?
No, it doesn't have to be. No, every sport has different portal windows.
Okay, every sport.
Yeah, they have a different calendar for every sport.
Mm-hmm.
I just noticed that basketball has been the most popular one. Whenever I go to on3.com, everything's about basketball. And I'm like, I'll think about that next daggum March. Steve Barnes on the line with us. He is the senior writer for the rebelwalk.com. Which player from the portal, in your opinion, Steve, has the chance to make the biggest impact next season?
Well, Dave, you're not going to like this. I'm sorry. But I'm going to stick with Ole Miss. I'm going with Kalen Odom, wide receiver, transferred from Alabama. 6'5", 215. That size, who's that sort of sound like? DK Metcalf, A.J. Brown, Laquan Treadwell, sort of in that mold. And Austin Simmons, is a stud at quarterback. He's a lefty who can throw the ball a mile, and he can throw with touch. So I think Odom has a chance to have a breakout year. And he's only a sophomore.
And when you got that kind of size, 6'5", it does help. Especially, I would say it helps you even more so, you know, when you're trying to reach to the top cabinet. It works even more so at the level of collegiate football. We're getting a little bit.
Your average corner is like 5'11",
right?
So he's going to have 6 inches on him.
Well, we're getting a little bit closer here to the 2025 season. It is going to be here before you know it. Do you have any early predictions for who's going to be 2025's Cinderella story? Like, I would say that most of us would agree that SMU was somewhat SMU or Arizona State. I think you can go either one, either way there. But those were kind of the Cinderella stories for college football last year. For you, Steve, who's most likely to be the surprise team of next season?
Well, before I give it to you, a preface, I really want to see what Vanderbilt's going to do. If they're going to take the next step forward, now they're not going to be the Cinderella, but with Pavia back, can they take the next step for Vanderbilt and set it up for the future? That's going to be interesting to me. And this one, I'm not sure if you can call them a Cinderella, but, and I really hate to say it, how about the Gators?
Yeah.
I guess it would be Cinderella because it's just like you have to take both seasons.
Well,
You have to take both seasons because last year they're like maybe I'm thinking of Snow White. Which one was the stepdaughter or whatever? Was that Cinderella?
Cinderella.
Okay, yeah. So last year they had kind of the off season, and then they bring it all together, and they got DJ Lagway.
Well, the first 4 games they opened with Long Island University, which I didn't even know played football.
No, they're just going to be serving them drinks all game.
Well, I looked at their schedule this year. After Florida, they play like Wagner and Central Connecticut State and Stony Brook, and Sacred Heart. So they're in there for the check, and that's going to give Florida a little momentum. The next game is South Florida in Gainesville. I just think Florida's got better personnel. I think they'll win that one. Third game is I believe it's at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
I like Lagway better than Nussmeier. I think they can go down there and win it. Fourth game at Miami, I really like Lagway better than Beck. And Miami just, since they left the Orange Bowl, they don't have the home field advantage anymore.
Yeah.
And it's such an easy drive from Gainesville. That crowd's going to be about 50-50 anyway. But the next week is the end-all tell-all. That's when they play Texas. If they can upset Texas, Florida's on the move.
Well, one thing I did, and I'm not a believer in Nussmeier. I want to preface it, or not saying that I'm not a believer.
You need him to show you.
Yeah, exactly. He's shown me inconsistency to this point. So did Joe Burrow year 1. So did Jaden Daniels year 1. Could this be a trend over there with LSU quarterbacks?
My good friend Brad Crawford, I used to work with him at a website that we won't name anymore, but he's at 247 Sports now. He was on the Feinbaum show earlier. He says he thinks Nussmeier could be the number 1 pick next year in the NFL draft. I don't really see that, but I tell you what, Brad knows a little more than I do.
There you go. That's
Even
why
though he's South Carolina grad and, whatever.
So you're saying people that graduate from South Carolina are smarter than people that graduate from Ole Miss?
I'm saying Brad is, but
Here's the thing. I think Nussmeier has a lot of the measurables they look to. The only thing I would say to that is you're hearing a lot of the same talk on Carson Beck at this time last year. And
I'm not sold on Beck.
Yeah, I'm not either, but you were hearing a lot of the same things.
Did you hear what Kiffin said about him?
If you were sold on Beck last year, you would have hoped that you kept held onto your receipt and you would have given him back this year. But, go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
No, Kiffin said he was asked about it. He said they gave Beck $4.3 million. Did they see how he played against us?
Right.
Yeah.
And then again, that same presser, a younger sports writer, don't know where he came up with this question asking a presser, but, he said, a lot of people say we look alike. I'll go to a high school game and people will ask if I'm you. What do you think about it? And Kiffin sort of stepped back and he looked at him, and the kid's like 19 years old. And Kiffin just stepped back to the mic and said, what's your mom's name?
Oh, that is as Lane Kiffin as it gets right there. You got anything else for Steve?
No, I love that line.
I think that's a good way to end this one right here. I think we need to hit F8 over there, James, and turn that one into a promo. Steve is always
the best.
Yeah.
Steve and Lane. That's why they're the best.
No doubt. Steve, is always great to have you on with us. Thanks so much for your time. We look forward to chatting with you next week.
Appreciate you guys. Love you like fried chicken.
There you go, man. And I love you like sweet tea, Steve. You're right over the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up next, it's the Takeover, the PCB Hobby Takeover.
The ESPN Northwest Florida Big Bracket Challenge.
Hi, this is Dave Neat from Panama City Beach, and I just won $250 from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida playing the Big Bracket Challenge. Thank you so much to Pepsi, Panama City, Toyota, PCB Hobby for making this happen. It was a lot of fun playing against other listeners and staff. Can't wait till next year. And go Ducks!
It's ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good evening. This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida. For tonight, a mixture of slight fog and some clouds and a low of 69 with wind 2 to 5 miles per hour. Mostly clouds and slight fog tomorrow morning, very light wind and hot near 76. Partly sunny and 78 in the afternoon and evening. 78 and a mixture of slight fog and some sun with very little wind Wednesday. This is your Monday's weather brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial at ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Discover Kia at Bill Bird Kia. The road is yours. Let spring adventures begin in a brand new Kia from Bill Bird Kia. Stop by today and check out the 2025 SUV family. Take a test drive and see the all-new features that elevate any adventure. And now offering 1.9% APR for up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sportage. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. Bill Bird Kia is the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at Bill Bird Kia, PanamaCity.com. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind you can trust at Bill Bird Kia.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sportage. $1,748 per month per 1,000 financed in 60 months. Qualities limited. Cannot be combined with other finance offers. Not available on balloon financing. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers. Must take delivery from dealer stock through 4/30/25.
Now, we're live and local inside the CBC Construction Studios. From the diamond to the end zone, from the studio to the sideline, we're the destination for sports on the Gulf Coast. ESPN Northwest Florida. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
We're back. You're right over the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida 104.3 and Panama City 101.9. In Port St. Joe, I'm David Hayes along with Coach Brian Haddad and James Fife. We're live and local from the CBC Construction Studios. You can give them a call at. This is the only reason I don't like printing on both sides of the paper. You know what I mean? I try to save us some money, and it makes me waste time. Come on now, right now. I'm just kidding. But yeah, CBC Construction. You can go to their website, cbcconstruction.com. You can also give them a call at 850-747-3815. This is the PCB Hobby Takeover. Todd is either still up there in Chicago or on his way back. So we got Julia today, and we're just going to keep on rocking and rolling. The miserable Mondays have turned into magic Mondays.
Magic Mondays. Yeah, exactly.
Well played, sir.
Well, this week we do have a lot going on. As usual, our organized play is the same, however. That's going to be Lorcana and One Piece on Thursday. Friday is Magic, and Sunday we have Pokemon. As far as our website goes, it's really exciting. We are starting to add a lot more on our website.
Oh boy.
So right now we have a lot of our exclusive comics. These are comics you can pretty much only get from us or a select few retailers. So definitely check it out. We're also starting to add a bunch of supplies on there. So if you don't really know where to get your supplies, obviously you can buy them in our store, but if you're not local, then it's a perfect way. way to get those. So check our website for that. Of course, we are streaming on eBay Live at PCB Hobby. We're doing a couple fun new things, though. This week, we're selling bulk wholesale boxes of comics. So it's about 100 comics. They're not going to be your variant covers or number ones or like super duper high value ones. But it is a really cool deal. You can choose like 100% indie comics or Marvel or DC, switch it up, do 50-50, specific characters we have available. So that's super exciting. You can find us streaming those on PCB Hobby on eBay Live under the comic stream.
That almost sounds as much like comics I want to read as much
Exactly.
as... Yeah,
exactly. None of these are going to be graded, so you can easily take them out of the bag and board, read them, and some of these are really good stories.
Yeah.
I actually really like to read them. I know a lot of people collect for the covers, but what's inside is pretty cool too.
Yeah. What's kind of in your time over there at PCB Hobby? What's become one of your more favorite comics that you gravitate towards?
I really like. It's actually one of our exclusives. Our cover or our
the one with
artist.
the kangaroo on it.
We have one with a kangaroo.
I don't know. It might not be a kangaroo. Not a kangaroo. Koala. Koala is what I meant.
Oh no, the Beneath the Trees is what you're talking about.
He's thinking about the Where the Wild Things Are. Very kind
Inspo,
of,
yeah. It's by our artist in residence, Josh Lyman. He did the cover, and it's Lucky Devils.
Nice.
And that one, it's by Charles Soule and something Brown, Soule and Brown, and it's actually a really interesting story. And I really appreciate like. In the short amount of time they have in the comic book, they do a lot of world building, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you'll read a comic and it's like, wait, how did we get there? Like I feel like we skipped a chapter. But this one, it like has a really good flow, and the story is interesting. So I really enjoy it. That's probably been my favorite, and I've been keeping up with the issues as they're being released. So it's a really cool story. And speaking of Josh, our resident artist, he has a cover of Godzilla, the 70th anniversary foil, and that's coming out this Wednesday. So we're going to be streaming Wednesday and Thursday, and he's going to be doing signings, remarks, all that good stuff. So definitely tune in on eBay Live. We'll also be doing Thursday and Friday, I believe. We're going to be streaming from Chicago at the... it's Central State Numismatic Society. That's the con they're at right now up in Chicago. So you'll get to see some new inventory, some fun new pickups, which is super exciting. We also have Free Comic Book Day and Star Wars Day on the horizon. So
you're looking forward to Star Wars Day over there, Brian?
May the 4th be with you.
Exactly. So May 4th, and then Free Comic Day is May 3rd. So we're going to be doing some things in the store, online, on our streams. So definitely stay tuned. And that is a lot of information. So if you want to just see that all written down, you can check out our Instagram and Facebook page at PCB Hobby, and it'll have all that good information for you.
Yeah, and the website is so easy to navigate. Just go to the event calendar, and it's all right there for you. And go follow them on the socials so you don't miss out on anything. What's the coin or series that you wish more people would appreciate or... I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you saw my eyes.
Yeah, we're not going
Blaze.
that direction.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I can kill two birds with one stone. This is going to be important for sports cards, and it's breaking news. Sources are saying that the Athletics of Nowhere are calling up fourth pick in the latest draft, Nick Kurtz, up to the Major League roster. He was in 2024 Bowman draft, and now will probably end up either in Top Series 2 or First Rookies will be in Topps Chrome. So be on the lookout for that, because his Bowman cards are probably exploding as we speak.
So is Top Series 1 better than Series 2, or is it the same? Or?
Depends on the year.
Okay.
Series 1 has an advantage because they have the entire offseason to get their rookies in order.
Right.
However, you could end up with a year where none of the guys honestly, this year's Series 1 isn't star-studded with rookies. Now, there's some guys who are starting to step up. James Woods stepping up, but everybody was thinking Dylan Cruz. What might end up happening is a year like this year where Roki Sasaki, his thing comes about. He's going to be in Series 2, I believe. He's going to be a much bigger chase if they're able to get Nick Kurtz turned around. So if you have a bunch of guys get called up, like, say, the first week of the season after Series 1 is out,
right.
Series 2 can end up bigger or update can end up bigger. Just kind of depends on the year.
It's purely timing based.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, in 2022, everybody was in update. In 2023, everybody was in Series 1.
Right.
Last year, it was kind of spread out pretty well. You had a main bunch. You had a couple that kind of worked their way into Series 2 with some short prints like Jackson Holiday and Wyatt Langford. And then in update, you had Paul Skeens. So last year was Topps' perfect storm. They had big names everywhere. That's what they would prefer, but it really just kind of comes down to almost luck of the draw.
Right. What do we have releasing for sports cards soon?
Well, actually, it's funny because about 5 weeks ago, we were talking about 2024 Heritage High Number Baseball because that was the last of the 24 products. It had Paul Skeens and Jackson Merrill, all those guys. Well, 5 weeks later, on Wednesday, 2 days from now, 2025 Topps Heritage will come out. And that's good because now we're starting to get back on more of a schedule. That's going to be an homage to the 1976 design, which was very popular. So that'll be fun. Again, it takes the current players, puts them in an old style of card. So that one's going to be extremely popular, and that one will drop on Wednesday. It's already in the shop. It's ready. We just can't sell it yet. Optic football is right around the corner. Everybody's been asking. You're starting to see a few of them filter on the retail end out. What we get as a hobby shop are what's called hobby blasters, hobby megas. They have unique parallels to hobby shops, and we can't sell them yet. So I know people have been asking, and it's been the hardest thing in the world to tell them we have to wait until release day. That's coming very soon in the next week. So just keep checking in with us on those, and we'll have that because their Optic Hobby got pushed back. So anyway, but we are going to have not just hobby, but we're going to have blasters and megas and different price points there because Optic's always popular. Stars and Stripes Baseball will drop Wednesday as well. That one's fun because you're going to get a lot of the guys who are, in the under 17, under 15 national teams. And this is going to be first cards of guys. So a lot of the guys who are in there now who are big, Jack Caglianone, Dylan Cruz, they had cards in Stars and Stripes maybe 3 years ago. So this is going to be a lot of fun for kind of the up and coming players. And so that is coming out as well. And then next week, we get Topps Chrome Black Baseball, Topps Chrome Black Baseball, and then Prism English Premier League Soccer.
Yes.
So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. And then don't forget, Bowman, my favorite, comes out May the 7th. And if I can throw one last thing in there, this ties into what we did at 440, Dave. So Topps Chrome, Topps took over the WWE license starting in January. And Topps Chrome was their first series. They rolled it out right around the Royal Rumble. Well, they announced a buyback program like they do in baseball. So in baseball, it's the MVPs. For WWE, they selected 2 matches at WrestleMania, and the winners would be the buyback. So that was Tiffany Stratton, who beat Charlotte Flair, and Jey Uso, who beat Gunther. So those cards from Topps Chrome, the base cards, parallels, like that, are all available for buyback credit. Whereas a Tiffany Stratton might be $1 or $2 card is worth $20 in store credit to you. So those are running now. I'm not sure how long they'll go, probably at least a month or 6 weeks, but they are available now. So if you have any Topps Chrome of Tiffany Stratton or Jey Uso, bring them into the shop. We are a buyback dealer, and you can turn those cards into store credit.
And I know Cosmic Chrome Football just released.
Correct.
Has anyone ripped it in the shop?
Yes, we've sold out in both the shop and on the stream.
Oh, wow.
We're actually ordering more.
Yeah.
But
how's it going?
It's been fantastic.
They're my favorite.
So we've had planetary cards. We had a guy got a Jaden Daniels insert to 50, which is a big card. My favorite that was out there, just because I'm older, I guess. But we had a guy in yesterday. He was actually from Boston. He comes down a couple times a year, and he was ripping, and he hit a Lawrence Taylor autograph, on-card autograph out of 10. which may not have been worth as much as the Jaden Daniels, but boy, to me, that was way cooler. So cards like that are just really cool because you can get all the big hype rookies that you want, but also they go back and put in the Lawrence Taylors, the Barry Sanders, the Tom Brady's. Well, can you imagine like a relic card with a piece of the bone?
Oh my gosh!
Oh my gosh,
that would be crazy.
And having Lawrence Taylor and Joe Theismann on the card.
LT with an "I'm sorry."
Oh my goodness gracious! Yeah, that would be a heck of a piece of sports history.
I'm sorry, I need to add this too. In a future Topps product, I don't know which product yet, Finest or it'll be another one. At WrestleMania, folks, if you were watching WrestleMania and you were watching closely, they mentioned it a few times. They had WrestleMania patches on their boots of the guys who competed. Those will go into cards like debut patches, and they will be one of one. So those are going to be out there in a future Topps WWE product. So make sure you keep checking on those.
Which one do you think fetches the most value?
It's got to be
Seth
Cena
Rollins?
this year.
Okay. Oh, yeah, Cena,
Yeah,
no doubt.
it's got to be Cena this year. But, man, any of those would be just crazy cool.
Well, I have a question for you.
Okay.
What sport brings the most passionate collectors? Is it baseball purists, football fans, NBA chasers, or is it someone else, like maybe WWE or anything? James, feel free to chime in. Julia, feel free.
I mean, it just kind of depends on where you are. Like, if you run up into Canada, they rip hockey cards left and right. Over in Europe, when I was on the stream, we were selling a lot of cards to people in Europe and South Africa for soccer.
Soccer with stickers is unbelievably passionate because that's kind of the old Panini sticker books are a big thing. If I had to say, I still think the old school baseball probably takes the cake. The football one is a lot about, not in a bad way, but about flippers and money chasers, I think, which is okay. It just, I wouldn't say passionate. James dead right about hockey. Oh my goodness, it's up there. And look, every group's got their own, but I think baseball still, for the longest time, it was absolute king, and I still think the people who are I see more people who are into baseball that will only do baseball than I do the other sports.
Right.
So.
Well, I feel like down here, like in the South, football is such a huge culture thing, and so it's definitely popular, but I would agree with you with baseball. I feel like that's what we get the most of in.
I think football is now bigger.
Yeah.
But I think the baseball purists take the cake on that one.
Yeah.
All right, Brian, one more here for you before we run out of time. What's the biggest trend that you're seeing in the sports card hobby right now? Is it more sealed wax collecting, live breaks, or vintage returns?
One that's not on the list. It's a thing called repacks.
Okay.
What repacks are higher end cards that have been bought and put into so a break where you might have like 5 hobby boxes of Topps Chrome. You should have some good hits in there, but theoretically you could end up pulling 5 boxes that weren't as good. What people will do now in a lot of breaks is they'll put a few repack boxes in there that have a guaranteed great card in it, like a downtown or a big time rookie patch autograph or something like that kind of guarantees some better hits. The other thing it does is it really inflates the market for sales of bigger singles because these cards, it speaks to the partial gambling effect in that these cards end up cycling through a lot. You'll hit them and you'll be thrilled with it, but you want to go to the next thing. So you sell it, it gets put into a new product, goes into another break, someone hits it, they're thrilled, but they want to go to the next thing. So they sell it and so you see a lot of that. So repacks are really a big thing in the market right now. But look, there's a million ways to do this, and that's why it's so much fun.
And that's why you got to go and check out PCB Hobby. Follow them on your socials, all of that good stuff. Julia, hit us with a rundown of what's going on over there at PCB Hobby.
Absolutely. Check us out on eBay Live. We're streaming pretty much 24/7 at this point for coins and currency, for trading cards, for sports cards, for comics. So all of that is on eBay Live at PCB Hobby. Of course, we do have our physical store on Back Beach Beach, right next to Florida Linens. The address is 11939 Panama City Beach Parkway. If you have any questions, please feel free to call us or message us on social media. You can follow us at PCB Hobby on Facebook and Instagram and stay up to date with all that's going on in the wonderful world of PCB Hobby.
Hey, there you go, Julia. Thanks so much for stopping by here for a Magic Monday. We look forward to catching up with you next Monday.
All right, see you next Monday.
All right, you guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. That was the PCB Hobby Takeover. We'll be right back with our final segment of the weekend, best and worst of the week, our final segment of the afternoon, best and worst of the weekends. What we're going to be doing when we get back, text them in to us on the Jed Lawyers phone line, 850-215-6290.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast.
Up to the minute weather reports all day long.
A chance of thunderstorms and moderate rain.
In-depth storm coverage.
Winter Storm Enzo.
And breaking weather as it happens.
Hurricane Helene.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
Rely on it.
It's David Hayes with a message that could save you thousands. Jed Lawyers never charges you up front. You heard me. You pay absolutely nothing unless they win your case. No gimmicks, no surprise bills, just real legal help after a car crash or injury. They're right in downtown Panama City on McKenzie Avenue, fighting hard for people just like you. Call 850-852-0000 or head to jedwins.com to get started.
Your biggest investment is your home. Protect it while also improving its appearance with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. We have sand, mulch, gravel, or lay down decorative stone, all available for pickup and delivery. Discover your dream landscape with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Imagine the moment you proudly pull up to your home that you've worked so hard for, enhanced by quality mulch, decorative stones, and more. Let's make it happen today. Request a quote online at earthworkspc.com or swing by the office at 2005 Industrial Drive. Love the land you live on.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
You found us inside the CBC Construction Studios. God, guns, and wrestling. It's the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're back, and this is our final segment of the day. The Atlanta Braves are coming up next after the Afternoon Underdogs. Coverage will start at 6 for a 6:15 first pitch. Braves looking to get 4 straight. Obviously, the bad news about Spencer Strider back on the 15-day IL with I believe it's his right hamstring. Got a little strain there. Going for the Cardinals is going to be Eric Fetty. He's 1-2 with an ERA of 3.43. And for the Bravos, it's Spencer Schwellenbach. So let's get to 4 games in a row. Taking your calls and texts here on the Jed Lawyer phone line at 850-215-6290. And we are live from the CBC Construction Studios. 4th annual Pops Pig Pick and Barbecue. All proceeds will go to benefit hurricane relief. Dinner tickets are just $20. Pool tournament at 1 p.m. is $15 to sign up. This is in honor of Chef Ross's dad, Ron Pops Robinson. It's going to be Saturday, June 14th from 12 to 6 p.m. at the Break Room, which is located at 2727 Joan Avenue. We'll keep you updated on that as we get closer to that as well. Best and worst of the weekend right here after our local sports, which I believe all we have is baseball going on tonight. Bay is on the road taking on South Walton. These are playoff baseball games right now. Bay 15-10. South Walton is a dangerous squad. They're 24-3. First pitch tonight at 7 p.m. Bowles is traveling to Bozeman. Bowles is 16-9. Bozeman 22-4, and they will get underway at 7 p.m. as well. And then Arnold 21-6 on the year, hosting Fort Walton Beach, who's 12-12, and they will have their first pitch at 7 p.m.
Well, apparently that Bowles cash didn't make its way to the FHSAA office this year, and I'm not taking that back. I said it. I own it.
All right, well, let's get to best and worst of the weekend. Let's go ahead and go through the ones that people send us on Facebook, and then we'll dive into our personal ones. The first one from Nick Perry says the Celtics snapped on them, talking about our Orlando Magic, but yes, they did, and they are looking to defend the title. Zach Lesnar says best, Lakers and LeBum getting their tail beat. Sometimes I should read these before I just dive into them.
I've heard worse names.
Well, no, it was the other word that he used instead of tail.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Which,
Very
I mean,
good.
I could say, but, you know. Worst, Shadur Sanders getting his jersey retired.
Yeah.
Is that up there with the worst, you think? I mean, I don't like it. I don't think many of us like it.
I don't know if I'd call it I don't like it either. I don't know if I'd call it a worst, but it's just kind of,
All right. From Reed Garrett, the best. Oscar Piastri wins in Jeddah and takes the lead in the Drivers' Championship. So I just read something that
Piastri. Yeah.
Is that F1?
F1.
Okay.
Yeah, he's teammates with Lando Norris. Norris had a bad qualifying session and ended up moving up, finished fourth pretty good. But yeah, it's going to be a three-way battle this year for the Drivers' Championship. And it's always interesting when two are from the same team.
Yeah.
Because it usually stirs some bad feelings. So it's going to be interesting to see how Piastri and Norris do with this year.
His worst is Mississippi State baseball.
Well, he stole mine.
Continuing to look like a little league team.
It's ridiculous. I mean, at least they took Sunday against Florida, but in the battle for 13th in the SEC, we lost a home series. That's just unacceptable if you're a Mississippi State fan.
This next one is absolutely right. From Chef Ross, best of all time is the tomb is still empty, which is why we celebrate Easter. Best number two, best number two WrestleMania night 1.
Yeah.
Worst,
WrestleMania night 2.
That one confused me a little bit, Chef Ross, but at least you had the truth there at the beginning. Well, not the truth, but it is the truth. Colorado, retiring Sanders and Hunter's jerseys. Best number 3, the Brewers stealing 6 bases in the same inning, and I believe they tallied up 9 in the entire game.
Wow, that's impressive.
From Kyle Wright, best, the Reds putting up a nice 24-piece against the Baltimore Orioles. The final score there was 24-2. Then he says, WrestleMania, I got to say the women's triple threat match stole the whole weekend. Incredible match from all 3 of them, and they chose the right winner. Dom winning was definitely right there with it, though. And the worst, Jay versus Gunther finish. I can't get over how bad of a decision that was.
Yeah.
Not Jay winning, but making Gunther tap like another word I can't say. Ian Malone, best. NASCAR's return to Rockingham, which is where they had the Craftsman and the Xfinity Series. And the worst, and he says it's not even close, Night 2 main event at WrestleMania.
It was not a fan favorite by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, that's all we have on the post today. James, what is your best and worst of the weekend?
Best and worst of the weekends. Playoffs getting started. Excited about that.
Playoffs.
NHL, NBA. Let's watch all that for the next 2 months. I will be entertained. Another one that I got, Braves on a 3-game winning streak. Congratulations, Braves, for putting more than one win together. That's how we start the march to the postseason right there. And my worst right now is the Dallas Stars lost 7 in a row heading into the playoffs and then lost their first playoff game, making 8 losses in a row. Been nice knowing you, Stars. We'll see you in October.
And there you go. Your best and worst of the weekend, Coach.
I'll stay wrestling themed here on mine because my Mississippi State was my worst. The best, Paul Heyman deserves an Emmy. The guy is unbelievable. His facial expressions, the way he comports himself. He tells a story better than anybody in any television show that's out there right now. So he was outstanding night one of WrestleMania, and just the way that he played everything up. It was a symphony. I mean, he was conducting it. So Paul Heyman absolutely was the best. The worst, I'll pick a kind of an obscure one. Whoever thought it was a good, and I know he's done it a million times, but whoever thought it was a good idea to let Stone Cold Steve Austin, who may or may not have had any Steve Weisers, as he says, driving that four-wheeler around a very tight ring at a incredibly high rate of speed, crashing it into the wall and hitting a lady in the front row who probably has enough, money and influence to make a problem. I mean, when you saw Stone Cold and Nick Khan talking with her, I'm sure she wasn't happy that she got shoulder blocked by a giant former wrestler coming off of an ATV there. So I doubt we're going to see those ATVs running around the ring quite as quickly anymore, but that wasn't good. And the fact that Stone Cold was there only for that and to drink a few beers and read the attendance instead of get involved in the main event, that'll be my worst.
And there you go. My best, I have to agree with Chef Ross. The tomb is empty. Jesus is risen. That's going to be the best. My second best will be the Braves winning back-to-back games. And not only that, they had another one and get the sweep. Let's see if we could push it to 4. And then my final one, and this is more funny and ironic than it is anything else, Cody Bellinger. I don't know if you guys remember watching him when he was a L.A. Dodger, but it doesn't matter where he's playing at. He still always kind of looks like he is, like he's been at the pharmacy, not, or the new types, the green pharmacies. On 420s, the last 3 years, he's hit a home run on every April 20th. So next year, when it gets to April 20th, you might want to put a little money on that. And then also, this is not... with the Pope passing away, I'm not trying to make light of this or anything, but Nick Castellanos normally hits home runs when big things have happened. So maybe...
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say that's my $2 bet today.
Wow.
Home run, Nick Castellanos.
And it's at like plus 475, so that $2 can turn into 10. I think the last... You remember that one that I did...
Send your winnings to Catholic Charities.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
When you were doing the last time that you were hosting the Inside Drive, he does $2 bets, and we'll go through and pick them. And so I had Ozzy Albies with a home run, a hit, and an RBI. So all three of those, if he gets the home run, he knocks the other ones out. And I put 2 other legs on it, and that $2 turned into like $30-something. So
winning.
Thank you, James.
There you go.
Thanks for making me think. Which right now the Hard Rock app is currently down. Last time that I tried to look it up, I don't know if it's been updated yet or not. So,
by the way, the trip is booked in about 3 to 4 weeks. I may be calling into the show from the floor in Vegas, so we might be able to lay some $2 bets in Vegas, live on the show.
Let's go. That'll be fun. The Boston Marathon was this afternoon. Walker Buehler, by the way, for the Boston Red Sox, had a very successful outing. He's been a pitcher that's dealt with a lot of injuries, but has had a lot of hype around him. But Boston Marathon was this afternoon. John Career, I don't even know. It doesn't matter. It does matter. I'm not going to say it right. Career of Kenya joined his brother as a Boston Marathon champion on Monday. It took him 2 hours, 4 minutes, 44 seconds, which was the second fastest winning time in race history. His brother came out to greet him after he ended up winning today. He won. Wesley Career did in 2012 for the Boston Marathon. So the race has been won by a pair of unrelated John Kellys, 2 different Robert Cheroyots, and the Careers are the first brothers or relatives of any kind to do that. They win to win the world's oldest and most prestigious annual marathon.
Do you think you could run a marathon?
Absolutely not. Wouldn't even know. I think
what do you think,
years ago.
I own a car.
I think if I trained for it, but I like to run and then stop, walk a little bit, run. Yeah.
I'm
a first
half
base,
marathon.
second base, third base.
I'm not sure I've run 26.2 miles in my life.
In your life?
And that's even with the cops chasing me.
Oof. My goodness. On the women's side, Sharon Lakode, 31, she broke the Boston Marathon course record.
Wow.
She finished the 129th Boston Marathon in 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 22 seconds. Pretty, to only be 13 minutes off of the men's winner is pretty daggone impressive. And then also they have a wheelchair Boston Marathon. And whoever won today, I'm blanking on their name right now, but that's their third consecutive Boston Marathon in a row. So great stuff
having
there.
To have some upper body strength to do that, to push that wheel. Oh my gosh, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. With Kurtz, we were talking about the A's bringing him back up. What position does he play? Because Soderstrom right now having a heck of a year playing first base. They do use him as a designated hitter, but that's really where Brent Rooker is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, does Rooker have a position?
Designated hitter.
I mean, that he could play. I don't know how long it's been.
Not that I'm aware of.
I don't know. That's an interesting one because I'm not real sure. You wouldn't theoretically put a rookie into an unfamiliar position, you would think. You want their confidence to be high, but I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one. That'll be interesting to watch.
Well, as always, a very fun Monday with you, gentlemen. If you, it's the NFL draft week, and me and Brian are really, actually, all three of us in here are Titans fans, so we are curious as to what the Titans are going to be doing. I think that is cemented into Cam Ward, but if you want to know where I'll be watching the draft, just go add me as a friend on Facebook, and I've got a post there with information on what I'll be doing this Thursday after the show. You guys have been riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida. Jesus loves you, so do I, and
the Titans are on the clock and stink.
Y'all be safe out there.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Atlanta Braves play here.
The Atlanta Braves are heating up.
Look out, Top House. Gone.